Hello, welcome back to another edition of Team Talk. This time coming out of round 21, where as you can see there, I ended up scoring a 2,426. And you'll notice something strange here as well. Something which I thought maybe SuperCoach was glitching, refreshed it to see if it changed. But no, alas, it is still the same. And that is in reference to my rank. 711 was the ranking I had coming in to this weekend. And the ranking changed zilch. It didn't change at all, surprisingly. So that means that I guess this actual score is legit on par with, like, that score 2426 is the par score for someone who is ranked in my, I guess, percentile. So very, very strange. I've never actually seen that personally. So I put a tweet out there. Let us know as well in the comment section below if this has ever happened to you with your, I guess, overall rank not having changed at all. So very, very interesting, but happy enough nonetheless that I've kept my rank, because I did actually think that I would have dropped because there were a couple of scores that I saw which were bigger than mine, one of which was Liam's, which you'll be able to see when we record this week's weekly vodcast and podcast. He actually trumped me by, I think it was 2 points. So he got one back on me. Long time coming for Liam, but happy enough for him to get one over me this late in the piece. But let's have a look at how my team actually performed. And I must say, apologies for my husky voice. It's a bit Barry White at the moment because of the fact that I just came back from witnessing the big win of the Baggers up against the Saints. And gee whiz, I was yelling like an absolute madman, as per usual, which is what you want to do as a passionate supporter. So happy, just enthralled to see the Baggers come back, first and foremost, but to get the win in the last quarter, which I thought was going to be difficult to do, is full credit to them. But anyway, enough about the good old Baggers. Let's have a look at my team and how it fared. So there is the big score first up, which you can see there, by James Sicily, the Sis Dog, 166, and I was confident he's going to bounce back, especially against the Pies, who kind of are more systems-based under Craig McRae, and I knew that they were going to more than likely back in their system as opposed to adjusting things just to, I guess, negate Sicily. But having said that, I mean, Ross Lyon is a systems-based coach as well, and actually changed up the way they entered forward 50 and way they structured up inside the forward 50 just to negate Sicily. So I was a little bit worried, but I was quietly confident that he was going to score quite well, because Collingwood actually do give up a few points to opposition defenders. So super happy with that. But after last week putting the captaincy on him, I wasn't as bullish as putting the captaincy on him this week. Once bitten, twice shy, as they say. Tom Stewart, 134, really, really nice with him. Again, started pretty slow, and I thought he was on track for a shit game, but actually, to his credit, bounced back and again scored quite well, that 134. He's been doing this as kind of a bit of a trend in recent times, but up there in terms of scoring, and continues on with his run of ton scores. This is the 7th in a row for him, so that's good to see. And actually, what's that, 7, 8, 9? 9 out of the last 10 games he's actually scored over the ton, so really pleasing with him, of course. Jordan Dawson, bit disappointing, 89. Turnovers and stuff really did hinder his score. Nicky Daics, now he is someone who's going to affect the entire competition. As we all know, everyone's got him. He's in currently 75% of teams, and I think he's actually the most owned, and for good reason. But as we all knew coming into this weekend up against the Hawks, there was no secrets about it. Finn McGuinness was going to be tagging him, has been the one tagger that has really done a number on him from go to woe. And did he ever do that? Had his, I think his career low disposal count, kicked a goal, got a couple of easy possessions coming out of defence with kickouts, and kicked a goal off the back of an iffy free kick. But most notably with Nicky D is the fact that now he's actually sustained a, if you haven't heard already, but I'm sure you have, a hairline fracture in his knee. So that's ruled him out for the next 6 weeks. So disappointment there for fans of the Pies, but also those of us that own Nicky D, because if you're in my shoes with 0 trades, you're going to have to rely upon a bit of bench depth. So I'll get into shortly what my contingencies are and what I'm kind of hoping will happen in order to try and cover Nicky D, because I do have a few players on the bench that I can use to cover him, and a lot of DPP swings that I can do across pretty much any position. But my bench depth isn't the best in terms of high scoring. But there is a guy here by the name of Sammy Walsh who I'm hoping can come back and allow me to really swing Doherty back into defence. And I'll just play Georgie Hewitt for the rest of the season, and maybe potentially loop on someone like an MJ, Chin Cotter, or a Seamus Mitchell or a Ryan Murray, and use swings left, right, and centre depending on games that are being played first. With Matt Roberts is going to be central to that with swings, Chin Cotter, Constable, and likewise. So we'll see how we go with that, but I'll get into that a little bit later. Bit of a headache there for those of you that own Nicky D, which is pretty much everyone that's watching this at the moment. If you do have trades up your sleeve, I'll get into at the very back end once I've gone through my team as to what your options could be if you have trades up your sleeve. But first, let's go on to Jack Sinclair, 99. Played some time in the middle, especially towards, I think it was the fourth quarter, I remember seeing him in the middle. 99, thereabouts, as you can see, nearly near his average there. Harry Sheasel, he was suffering majorly from the absolute pest that is Jack Zeeble. I think now that Jack Zeeble's kind of in his curtain call, he's announced his retirement, and Clarko back at the helm maybe sees it as an opportunity to, allow Jay-Z to play in that role that Shees has been accustomed to and played quite well and scored well in. And Shees was actually pushed forward and, kind of switched around the park against the D's today, so it wasn't good to see, but hopefully that doesn't continue for those of us with Sheasel. His ownership is still 65%, so I guess from that perspective, hopefully, especially for those that are still in league finals, your opponent is more than likely going to be owning Sheasel, which funnily enough, one of my opponents in a cash league didn't own Sheasel, so that was interesting to see, but didn't hurt me because I did end up getting the win, which was good to see. Chin Cotter 50, again, is just good to have as cover for the time being. In the midfield, Bont, 153. I was kind of weighing up between putting the VC on Bont or English, and as you can see there, I put the VC on English because I was kind of burnt by switching the VC off English last week when he went absolutely bananas with 160 odd, and I ended up putting the VC on Daics last week, and he didn't score well. So I thought, all right, let's just put it on English, not stuff around. I knew Bont was going to score quite well. He does historically average well against the Tigers. They give up bulk points to opposition mids. But when he got that 153, and he was kind of one of the more VC'd players out there, especially in my cash league finals, I was a little bit worried. Ended up putting the C on merit, which was always the plan. So not too displeased with that. Lost out on 10 points, but it is what it is. Petrarca 125, again, he is just going from strength to strength, playing again up forward and in the midfield, and he continues to run of big scoring with 3, 6, 7 of his past games being over 120. We got 113 is his lowest, really, in that stretch. And he hasn't really had to rely on goals too much, albeit his inaccuracy is really killing him, and he could actually be scoring quite more than what he is. Scored 2 goals, 3 on the weekend from 27 disposals. So not too bad. Was expecting around about the mark. He did start very, very slow against North, as the D's did, with North actually getting out to a sizable lead quite early. So full credit to the Roo boys there for going as well as they did. Rory Laird 93, disappointing, but like I said, he's kind of the ownership 34% in terms of higher owned mids, so not too bad there. Zachary Merritt, 143, happy with him. A lot of people would put the captaincy on him. Is what it is. Delivered me a couple of crucial wins in my finals, so straight through the prelim, and I'll show you that at the back end of this video. Doherty, 107, he was performing, he started quite well, and then he had a sort of a lull patch probably in the second and third quarter when he was turning over the ball, very unlike Doc, which kind of limited his overall score. Played in the middle a bit more in the last quarter and had some crucial intercept marks and shots for goal, as well as setting up a couple as well. So 107, Not too bad around the mark there. Lockie Neal, disappointing. He was actually tagged by, I think it was Hayden Young. Came good towards the latter part of the game when the game was on the line to score a 90, so not too bad. Again, highly owned, so not the end of the world. Callum Mills, impressed with him, 97. He actually probably should have scored more than what he did, but his disposal did let himself down at times. But yeah, I mean, off the back of considering he scored a 50 the week prior, you can't be too displeased with that. Then we had Georgie Boy Hewitt, 99. He really did bounce back. Good to see. Without the fact that Walsh and Chera aren't there, he stepped up quite nicely, 99, against the Saints. So, especially filling in for Walsh as well. So, happy enough with that. Tim English, 112. Yeah, again, that's pretty much his floor. I was actually surprised again to see him score 112. But yeah, continues that nice run of scoring. And he faces the Hawks up against Reeves at University of Tassie Stadium. So that'll be interesting to see how he goes against them. Rowan Marshall, 118. Then in the forward line, Dunkley, 77. I don't know what the hell was wrong with Dunkley. I know he spent about 10 minutes on the bench in the first quarter, from what I read from Fantasy Freako on Twitter. Wasn't able to watch the match because I was obviously at the Carlton St Kilda game. But yeah, he kind of, from what I saw with the scoring on Fan Footy, came good late in the game. But yeah, well below par. And it's actually probably his lowest score. Yes, it is lowest score of the season. Dating back to round 4 against the Pies when he scored an 84. So hopefully he can bounce back against Adelaide. But yeah, again, he's so highly owned. But I must say, having said that, 60% of teams, in one of my crucial cash leagues, in fact, my own cash league, my opponent didn't own Dunkley. And of course, Dunkley scored like shit and ended up losing the match. So I've thankfully got a double chance, but I would have gone through to the prelim had he actually scored well enough. But is what it is. Just annoying that that's always the case where the bad luck goes against you, where there's such a highly owned Uber Primo that your opponent doesn't own, and that week they actually don't score well enough. So yeah, is what it is. Errol Goulden, you're just going from strength to strength again. Last week, as we discussed in the podcast and vodcast, he's butted up after a shit game. He comes out and smashes it, and then in the third game or second game after the shit one, he actually goes quite well. He has done historically, as you can see there, dating all the way back to when he was scoring shit round 6, 7, 8. So yeah, hopefully he can continue that up against the Gold Coast this weekend. Then Connor Rosie, 99, par for the course with him. Cogs, 106, above average slightly. Happy enough with him. Continued a run of ton scores, 3 in a row now. Darcy Cameron, disappointing, 74. I was expecting a little bit more from him, especially up against the Hawks and Reeves, but Reeves is actually a half-decent ruckman in his own right, so can't be too displeased, I don't think, but as the outright ruck without Cox being there, I was expecting a little bit better, especially at 16.8% ownership. Or rounded up to 17% there. Timmy Taranto, 85. He's just fallen off the boil. But again, he is someone actually shit. Look at his price, 508. His highest price point was 640 back in round 14. So yeah, he's fallen by the wayside a heap. And actually, strange enough, in that time, his ownership's actually gone up. Yeah, strange. He's in 65% of teams. So whatever he scores, it's going to affect you as well as majority of the super coaches out there. And then Seamus Mitchell, 31, again, subbed off. Really annoying because I might need to rely upon him in the weeks to come without Daics. And Ryan Marek actually scored a 67. He's scoring quite well enough. That's actually the third game he scored a 67 in, funnily enough. But full credit to him. Full credit to the boys. But yeah, Marek, he's actually scoring quite well. So that's pretty much how my team performed. So let's delve into quickly, and of course, I'll round out the video here by going quickly into the VCNC choices, but it'll be ever so brief because I haven't even looked at the fixture as yet. I just know that Carlton's playing Melbourne. But in terms of those people that have Dacos who have perhaps a trade up their sleeve, goes without saying, if you can afford it, bring in Sicily, although you're going to be kicking yourself, or at least realizing how bad the luck is, because Sicily actually went up 35k, and where is he? Where is he? Where's he gone? Where's he gone, mate? Total points. Here we go. So Daics is there. Sicily's down here. So Daics went down 65.3% off the back of 3.3K off the back of a 41. Sicily went up 35K. And that actually is a difference of legit 100K, 100.3K on the dot. And with that in mind, they were actually virtually the exact same price point coming into the weekend, which is just absolutely incredible. So, yeah, that's really poor timing, I think, if anything. But it means for those people that want to bring in Sicily off the back of Daics, you kind of need that 100K in the bank. Or if you've got two trades, at least, maybe perhaps use the other one to fund this trade. But yeah, otherwise, if you've got one trade and you need to do it in one trade, it's going to be very, very hard to do without the bank. But goes without saying, just looking at 3-round average and 5-round average, which is the more crucial stat at this stage to see how they're performing in recent weeks, not in terms of overall average, because that obviously accounts for injury games and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, 3-round average, as you can see there, Sicily 146.3, and his 5-round average is by far the best as well, 126.6. If you don't have someone like a Stewart, yes, he is someone that you could bring in, but again, he's only 19K cheaper than Sicily. Luke Ryan, I'm not a fan of, as I've kind of outlined previously. Whilst he has been scoring well, he has had these, big ceiling games, but apart from that, he's kind of just been teetering around about the 100 to 110 mark. And as you can see there, an 88 on the weekend against Brisbane really does show that he does have that. That's kind of his floor. Whilst it's not too bad, it actually isn't the best. So I'm not a fan of him. Dan Houston, again, he's probably, 37K cheaper than Sicily, but he's actually been scoring quite well. Bit of a blessing in disguise because he went down 35.1K off the back of a 61 in a tough game against the Cats at GMHBA. But apart from that, every other game he's actually been scoring quite well, bar a couple of games there where he's kind of been off the boil. So I like him as an option, but again, he's probably at the higher price point. Not a massive fan of Whitfield. He's burnt me too many times. Doherty's one that I like as well because of that DPP factor as well. Dawson, he had a bit of an off game of the weekend, but we all know what he can produce when he's at full flight. Had a bit of a down game of the weekend, but every other game he's been thereabouts. But I think Nick Newman is probably someone that really piques my interest a fair bit. If you have a look at his scoring since dating back to round 14, when we had the turnaround in form that Carlton, that is, when they've gone in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 win in a row trot. Bar the game against Hawthorn, he's actually scored quite well. And I think this is probably one of the best games I've seen him play on the weekend against the Saints. He was everywhere. He's intercept marking. He was setting up play, kind of old school Doherty type role, whereas Doherty's playing more as that sort of hybrid role between halfback into the midfield and pushing up as a sort of a high halfback. And as you can see there, 13 marks, and like the high marking that he's getting there is off the back of sort of 1-2 plays, taking a couple of kick-outs, but also being the first link in the chain from if someone else kicks out. So I really do like him as an option as well as that cut price option if you don't really have the funds to reach for anyone else because, 543 means that you can reach for him. You can actually, make 20K or thereabouts by downgrading Daics to Newman. So I don't mind that option. Aside from that, I think, if you're kind of in my shoes and you don't have any trades, just hopefully you have enough depth on your bench. In my own position, I'm hoping that Walshy comes back in because it'll mean that I'll be able to go Doherty into defence. Off comes Nicky D, he's a bit of a cheerleader on the bench. And then I will be shifting Constable off and Walsh back on field. And it means I'll just be playing Georgie Boy Hewitt for the rest of the season. And then potentially maybe if Matty Johnson can play a full game, especially early on if he plays before Hewitt or Mules, If he goes large, then I can potentially loop on his score. Likewise, Seamus Mitchell, he's there. Hopefully he can just get a full crack at it and start scoring the scores that he was getting a few weeks ago when he was scoring like 80s, 70s, 90s, 80s. But he's just not getting the opportunities as he was during that stage. But if he could, I could even potentially swing, say, a Matty Roberts for Taranto, and then loop on Seamus Mitchell's score. And then I would be, again, potentially able to do that as is. And then, put Taranto on field for, say, bench a Hewitt, or even bench, go back to the way it was with Doherty. Actually, no, that won't work. If Chincotta scores well, then I could potentially do that and use Constable. But I think Doherty may just have to go back in defence for the time being while she returns. But potentially, use a bit of a loophole option here. But it depends how your team is structured up. Let's just shift that back to the way it was. Put Hewitt there. So I'm hopeful. I'm going to manifest this, and hopefully Walshy can come back this week. At least in terms of those finals that I've progressed through to the prelim final for. It means I'm not playing this week or this coming round in round 22. So it means that I don't have to rely upon Walsh, but there are a couple of qualifying finals. Is that what they're called? Qualifying finals? The second week of the... No, it's a semi-final, sorry. So I do obviously need to win for those. Well, then there was one league that I finished 7th in, and I won on the weekend, go through to the semi, and there was another one I finished top. It was actually my cash league, and ended up losing off the back of that matchup where my opponent didn't have Dunkley. So I'm going through to a semi-final off the back of the double chance there. So hopefully my opponent doesn't have any trades left and isn't flushed with depth off the bench, so I can get a bit of an edge over them, but a SuperCoach edge. But that's pretty much the way that I'm hoping things go. But is what it is. I think I'm in the hands of the gods now, as are many other coaches out there. But Liam and I might run through when we record our vodcast and podcast this week in terms of what it looks like now. We'll kind of update it from week on week via the use of SuperCoach data. Check out the website. Really is awesome because it does give you insight into how many trades people have left, especially those people ranked within the top 1,000, top 10,000, and so on and so forth. So, and top 100, of course. Hoping that other people are in my position, and I'm clutching onto that rank in the top 1K, so hopefully I can consolidate it where some people can't potentially cover Daics with a strong cover player off the bench. I think for those people that do have a trade up the sleeves, count your blessings, because it means that you can potentially get an edge over those of us that have no more trades. And there's going to be a bit of a mix. Kind of separating those people that don't have any trades will be their quality of cover off the bench, if they have any. It's going to be tough going from here on out. That's pretty much that, I think. Let's finish it off now by just going quickly. As you can see there's the bit of the update there with the trade in and outs. And like I was talking about, Nick Newman, he's at a popular option. Luke Ryan as well. But every other kind of player like Butters, Luke Jackson and Sarong, that's also another option you could use. If you do have a DPP swing, like say in my instance with Doherty, if you can swing someone like a Doherty from your midfield into your defence, you can then trade out Dacos for a premier midfielder like a Zach Butters, Luke Jackson potentially by swinging say a Sheasel back into defence and swinging Dacos forward, trading him for Luke Jackson, or trading him for a Sarong, which I think those guys here like Jackson, Sarong and Newman, and Butters actually like all these options as well, especially Butters with the mid-forward DPP, which could come in handy in the last 3 rounds of the season. It's crazy saying that, only 3 rounds to go, but as you can see there, 76.5% of people are trading out Dacos, because if you have any other trades, I wouldn't be wasting them anywhere else, really. But that's pretty much it, I think. Let's have a quick look at the round to come, and I won't go into full detail about VCNC because Liam and I will go through that game by game in terms of the top options in this week's vodcast and podcast. For me, I think I would be going There's no one in Collingwood v Geelong. I mean, potentially Stewart, because there is a bit of a matchup exploitation there with, as we just saw on the weekend with Sicily. Collingwood give up a positive correlation to opposition defenders. So I quite like that. And so Stewart as an option. North Essendon, yeah, potentially Merritt again. Merritt, yeah, 117, 140, 137 speaks for itself probably. And he's passed 3 games against North, averages 101.1 from 12 games, and scored quite well in the past 2 weeks as well, 139 and 143. Just quickly, just check out Stewart against the Pies, and he scored 119, 104, and 18 when he got injured. He got concussed, didn't he? Oh, no, he injured his knee or thereabouts, whatever it was. Geez, that feels like centuries ago now. Sydney up against Gold Coast. Yeah, potentially Goulden, maybe. Yeah, don't know. Yeah. Who else we got? Brisbane up against Adelaide. You'd think Keys, Maytag, Neil. Dunkley, he needs a bit of a bounce back game. 65, 142 and 146 in his past 3 games against the Crows. And this is at the Gabba as well. So, yeah, he could potentially be an option as maybe a VC. Wouldn't put the C on him. Carlton up against Melbourne. This is going to be a tough one, I think. There's no one at Carlton that I really like. And I think with Petrarca, with the return of Oliver, that actually may hinder him. It may be a blessing in disguise, or it may be hindrance, because with Oliver, if they're treating him like, he's fully fit, he's going to play a full game, it may mean that Petrarca plays even more time up forward. But as we've seen, like playing up forward, he's actually still scoring quite well. His last game against Carlton, he scored a 159, which is back in round 12. And his full stats were 32 possessions, 6 marks, 4 tackles, and 1 goal. So I remember it very, very well. He absolutely smashed us. So he is an option. Prior to that, he scored a 101 and a 99 against Carlton. Prior to that, 159. But yeah, Oliver, I wouldn't be touching him if anyone still owns him, that is. West Coast up against Freo. Sarong potentially, yes. Brayshaw, just goes without saying. Hawthorn up against the Dogs. Now, I do like English, as I mentioned earlier. Comes up against Reeves. Don't think Meek's going to come back in off the back of a win for the Hawks. Very, very nice win. Must be set up against the Pies. 82, 102, and 90 for English in his previous 3 against them. The most recent was in round 7 when they played, when he scored a 90. So I think from memory, the Hawks are quite restrictive, or have been, yes, ever so slightly in the ruck. So, yeah, and even more so in their past 10. So, yeah, I'm not sure about English as yet. I'm a big fan of Bont. I know that they're saying that Finn McGuinness is going to go with Bont, but this is a different kettle of fish compared to Daics. Like, Bont is first and foremost taller than Daics. He's got more size compared to, I guess, the frame and the width. With Bont, he's got a bigger leap than Daics. So Finn McGuinness, I think he'll struggle to really match up and tag Zibont. Last time he's played the Hawks, he scored 136, 115, and a 122, which was most recently in round 7. I can't recall if Finn McGuinness played that game. Can't recall, but he may have. But, I mean, that's just an indication of what he can score. He's in really, really awesome form, as you can see. He's probably the Brownlow fancy now at the moment. I think it's between him and Track, just personally. So, yeah, and I've got a bit of money on Bont and Track from earlier in the season, so I'm barracking for both of those boys in a Brownlow Stakes. But 153 against the Tigs on the weekend. And Hawthorn, is there a positive correlation here? Slightly. They're a positive correlation to giving points away to opposition mids in their last 10, but slightly less in their last 5. So, again, I think just based upon purely on form, he could go quite well. So I don't mind him. He could potentially be, with such a late game, potentially be a captain option. Then the next game, St Kilda up against Richmond. And Libba as well probably speaks for himself as well, scored quite well on the weekend. So he's an option against the Hawks. St Kilda up against Richmond, as we saw with what they concede in points to opposition midfielders, Steele potentially, but he had a shit one against Carlton, albeit his role was a bit different and he was shut down and playing a bit more of a negating role as well, strangely enough. Harping back to his sort of tagging days when he was at the Giants. Yeah, don't know about anyone at St Kilda. Sinclair, maybe. Maybe not. No, probably not. I wouldn't go for him. Just based upon matchup. Nope. And then Port Adelaide up against the Giants. Not a fan of that either, especially the last game of the round. You'd have to put the C on a player, and there's no one really there that I'd be confident on. I mean, there's Rosie, but his ceiling isn't good enough for a captaincy score, as you can see in recent times. Not good enough. Thereabouts. High floor, if anything. And yeah, Butters potentially, but again, no, I'd look elsewhere. So I think for me personally, I am looking at, and I probably didn't even mention, Sicily up against the Dogs. In terms of that correlation, can't forget him. They do have a positive correlation, and a very, very big one at that, with general forwards and designated kickers. He's kind of a hybrid of both. So I really do like him as an option as well. But again, and Ben's going to have to go against the grain. Sicily is more of a pod, as we all know. His ownership may go up off the back of Daics being injured for those people that have the cash to bring him in, but it won't be too stark. So that's a bit of a pod option, and it just makes me wonder if the Dogs kind of change their structure and throw like an extra forward to drift in ahead of Sicily, or have a bit of a game plan like Ross Lyon had when the Saints played them in recent times, where they kind of just bomb the ball a bit longer as opposed to kicking short and allowing Sicily to drift in. So it remains to be seen what Bevo does there, but Sicily is no doubt an option off the back of a 166, and he's in ripping form. So yeah, don't mind that. As a bit of a pot option, I think if you are in a final and you need to sort of do a bit of a Hail Mary, I don't mind that, especially if your opponent is, potentially going to put the captaincy on, say, an English or a Bond, just to give you that point of difference if you do need to make up points potentially. But that is pretty much it. As I said, check out our vodcast and podcast, weekly podcast and vodcast, which will be released this week. Hopefully it will be released on the Tuesday evening. Don't know if it will be. I have to say that I'm actually getting my wisdom teeth out, a couple of annoying wisdom teeth on the left-hand side, top and bottom, on Tuesday afternoon. So I'll be in no shape or form to really do anything, I don't think. So apologies if the podcast and broadcast is late. But I think, probably will be released on a Wednesday, maybe at latest a Thursday, but we'll see how we go. And hopefully I'm not in any pain. And I do have enough energy to punch out the edit for those people that would be keen to tune in. But that's pretty much it for my team. I'll quickly just maybe potentially, I don't know who I'll VCNC at this stage until I delve into the data a bit more, but maybe might go for a Merritt first up. Good matchup against North, albeit North played well, as we know, against Melbourne on the weekend, but good matchup, good historical form against the Roos, so I'm pretty confident on Merritt with the VC. They may try and tag him, that's the only thing. Do they tag Parrish? Do they tag Merritt? Who knows? But with a VC, you can probably run that risk. And with the C, I might bypass English and go for Bont. Even though there's the Finn McGuinness sort of issue looming, who knows? I think I'm pretty confident that the Bont will outperform him. Just don't know if he's going to have a ceiling game with Finn there. He might impact him to some extent anyway. But yeah, otherwise Sicily I do like as well, and potentially Stewart with that VC, a nice matchup in terms of points conceded by Collingwood to defenders. That's pretty much it for the coming out of this round. That's how my team looks. I'm praying to the SuperCoach gods that there's no more havoc, that my league opponents are in the same or similar boat, if not worse than me, so I can get a bit of an edge, as I said. And I'll show you just quickly, if it loads, of course, before we sign off on my leagues. Don't know if this is going to work. Here we go. So I ended up, losing 2 leagues. That's not a cash league, but I ended up finishing, I think it was first or second potentially on that overall. Ended up losing. So I go through with a double chance to the semi-final. And then, so qualified, yes. Content creators, so this is interesting. So this is obviously all other SuperCoach content creators. I finished 4th overall. I beat Selby, the good old Mario's Magic. So that's a big scalp for me. That's actually the second time I've beat him this season. So thanks, Selb. Actually, I faced you at the right time. I'm through to the prelim. So too is Jackson JD from Fantasy. Who else is there? Fantasy Take TV, of course. Spills is through. He is through. Chizo ended up losing his spot. Losing his game to Jackson. He goes through to the semi-final. Selby goes through the semi-final, as I said, lost to me. And Jordan of JB, Dr. Supercoach, he won up against George's Terror Squad. He goes through to the semi. And I'll face the winner of Spills and Chizo. So that's sort of the Content Creators League. This is my cash league, which agonizingly I lost to. I was by far and away top of the table. So I go through to, I'm not progressed, but I go through to the semi-final. Hopefully I can get the win and go through to the prelim because, it annoys me that I was performing quite well. Finished second. Ended up faltering in the first week of finals. Would have beat a few different teams there, but is what it is. Hot Shots, that is a big cash lead that I'm thankful of winning, so I go through to the prelim. So that's going to be very, very nice. At least guarantee me some cash off the back of that. TCB, I'll go through to prelim again, which is good. Another cash league, cash is king. I ended up faltering. Actually, no, sorry, I won. Finished 6th, so I'm through to the semi. Hopefully I can get the win there. So again, I'll play this coming round, I should say. And League 2023, it's a small league. Ended up finishing second, and actually ended up getting beaten just by 20 points. This bloke here had Luke Jackson in his team, winning the game off the back of that. So that's quite annoying, but hopefully I can win this coming round and go through to the prelim. And then Big Footy Division 6, I actually ended up winning as well. Finished first overall in head-to-head by far and away, total points and overall. So I ended up going through to the prelim, which is nice to see. But that's pretty much my team, ladies and gents. Hopefully that has given you a bit of entertainment, something to look at for those people that are still interested and keen on SuperCoach, because I know interest is waning at the moment. But hopefully for those of you still in league finals, you ended up progressing through, or at least got a double chance this coming week. Let us know in the comment section below if you need any help, any comments, questions you have with regards to your own team. And tune in this week. We're hoping to potentially get... we got SuperCoach with DR on this week. Last week, if you missed it, we had Joe from Centre Bounce on for the podcast and vodcast, so check that out if you haven't already. Some really good discussion points about the future of SuperCoach, which again we'll probably delve into again with DR. So that'll be super awesome to see and catch up with DR as well. We've had him on a couple of times, and he is always a treat to have on the podcast. So looking forward to that if you can fit us in to his schedule. So ladies and gents, that is the team talk coming out of round 21. All the very best heading in to round 22, and we'll see you same time, same place. We'll see you then. Cheers.